Hey y'all, it's Diana again. Welcome back to a new installment of Woman Once Removed, my life story. Well, tonight I decided that I'm going to answer some questions, and it's about my life, so it's perfect to put it right here in Woman Once Removed. Now, this question is by a dear friend of mine, Mariah Rose Parker. Mariah is a beautiful, absolutely stunning trans woman from New Zealand. And she's been a friend of mine for a good many years now. She is so sweet, she is so beautiful, and so candid with her life. So y'all need to try to follow her. She's in Facebook. The question she asked was, how did you cope with not having children with your husbands? Well, I tell you, that was something that I thought about when I was making my plans to transition. And like I've said in my other videos, I tried to plan things out. I am a Capricorn, and I am analytical. I have to think about everything and plan everything out. Even though it may not work that way, I can't sleep unless I have my next day planned completely out. That's just how my life's always been. So I always figured what I would probably do would be to marry a divorced man who had children and help him raise those children. That's what my plan was. And that's what a lot of trans girls were able to do. And I did put forth an effort to date men who were divorced and had children. And I was not really that successful with finding someone who had children. I dated a lot of divorced men that had kids, and I fell in love with the kids more than I did the men. I mean, that was my priority in my mind, so I wasn't choosing well for as the men. And one of those was George, the guy that I've talked about before that I was so crazy about. And his little girl that we would take to my parents' house to ride the horse and kind of things like that. And every other weekend we had her. And like I said, I fell in love with her. And when you break up with somebody and there's kids involved, you know, that's something you have to deal with too. You don't only lose them, you lose, you know, that child too. So that did not happen with me. And then when I married my second husband, Sean, that I was so desperately in love with, I just would have given anything to have been able to have his baby. And it was during the marriage with him that I would dream about having babies. And I talked, when I told my story about Sean, I talked about having my dream where I was having the baby and woke up during delivery and was looking around for the baby. And part of that was to do with the fact that I was so totally in love with this guy that I wanted to have his baby. And another part was I had too many hormones going through my body. I was taking too many. And my body was going through a false pregnancy. I was lactating. I was an emotional wreck, you know, mood swings and stuff, just like I was pregnant. And so I had to cut my hormones way back after that. But I really wanted, I mean, I discussed with him about having a surrogate mother or just getting somebody pregnant and us taking the baby or adopting, and we never could come to any kind of decision on that. So I missed out on that. And that's something I always missed having. And I think now, more than anything, not having grown children that were giving me grandchildren. And I know that I have relatives, children that I have enjoyed watching grow up, and I get to spend time with their grandkids, and I love that. Now, don't get me wrong, that's fabulous, but it's not the same as having your own kids, you know. Those kids that call you mama, and those grandkids that call you granny, you know. I miss that. But there's a lot of people out there that don't have kids. There's a lot of cis people that don't have kids. I have friends. There's cis people who, for whatever reason, whether they decided they didn't want kids or just could not have kids, that did not have children, and they have led full, meaningful lives. So I hope that answers your question. You know, if you, feel like that's something you need in your life to really make you whole, and I know that I wished I had it then, and I wished I had it now, but I'm still a happy human being, and it's not like my life is meaningless because I had no kids, because not everybody was meant to reproduce, to be a breeder. And if I could have had kids, I would have probably had a baker's dozen. Maybe not all of them planned. So just think about it while you're young. And if it's something you really want to do, something that you feel like is something that's missing from your life, of course, try it, honey. Try it. Try adopting. Try a surrogate mother of some sort. There's a lot of women out there that are honored to help childless couples have babies. So, yeah, get back with me and let me know what you think, what you want to do with your life, you know. As you get older, you will miss those things a little more. Because I can tell you, as you get older and less active, you don't have as much going on in your life. And those grandkids would be nice, really nice. But be truthful to yourself. If you don't feel like you would make a good parent, then opt not to do it. But if you have something to give, by all means. There's a lot of people without parents. I mean, you may have to find somebody in another country, some country that really needs assistance with children. It might be easier to get somebody in an Asian country or an African country. I don't know. And that depends on what you really think that you want. You know, if you want to help some child in another country, another place, then go for it. But be truthful with yourself, and don't make a decision that you may regret later on. Either opening your house up to a child that's not yours, or deciding not to, and then later on regretting that. So I don't really regret, but I honestly thought I would. I honestly thought eventually I would, by the age of 35, be married to someone that was divorced that had a child. And the last man that I dated in North Carolina before I moved to Mississippi was a divorced man and had a child, and I gave that child, I believe, the best Christmas of his life. I went all out. It was like a wonderland for that child, and I'm so happy that I was able to give that child that. And I would have loved to have, you know, spent more time with him through the years, but I couldn't choose the child without the father, and I wasn't in love with the father enough to put up with him. So that's another thing you have to be honest with, you know, and it's hard when you do fall in love with these children and then it doesn't work out with the father. So, good luck to you, girl. And I want you to come over to Marty's podcast. They're on Sundays. It's what time? 7 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Pacific Time. Now, I don't know what your time is in New Zealand. You might have to get up in the middle of the night. I don't know what the time difference is. I know that, like Bangkok, it's 12 hours difference from what we are here in Mississippi, which is Central Time. But Marty's podcast is called Beyond Trans, and we have some great topics. We have a lot of trans elders in the group. We have a lot of young girls like you. But we're all there, you know, shooting the shit between each other and having a good visit every Sunday. So try to come over and visit with us. Bye-bye. And if y'all haven't subscribed, you know what you need to do. You need to go on over there and subscribe and hit that little bell so you can get a notification every time I put something up. And leave a comment because I like to read comments. All right, y'all. Bye-bye now.